Today I'll be telling a very educating love story. Wake Her Up. Part 1. When she started feeling exhausted. Love rarely falls apart in a single day. Most relationships don't end because of one major mistake. They slowly weaken through small disappointments that happen over and over again. A forgotten promise. An unanswered message. A conversation that never takes place. A heart that keeps giving without receiving the same care in return. This is the story of a young woman who loved with everything she had. When they first met, she believed she had finally found someone she could build a future with. He made her laugh. He made her feel special. He listened to her dreams and spoke about a life they would one day create together. She wasn't looking for perfection. She simply wanted someone who would stand beside her through life's challenges. For a while, everything felt right. They spent hours talking about their future. They encouraged each other. They celebrated small victories together. Every moment strengthened her belief that this relationship would last. But as time passed, something began to change. He became busier. His calls became shorter. His attention became divided. Whenever she tried to express how she felt, he brushed it aside. He would tell her she was overthinking. He would say she worried too much. Sometimes he promised things would get better, but nothing really changed. Still, she stayed. Not because she enjoyed being hurt, but because love often gives people hope that tomorrow will be different. She convinced herself that everyone goes through difficult seasons. She believed patience would solve everything. So she continued giving. She continued supporting him. She celebrated his successes even when he overlooked hers. She remembered important dates while he forgot them. She prayed for him when he was struggling. She defended him when friends questioned whether he truly appreciated her. She chose loyalty, even when it became difficult. But every relationship needs two people willing to invest in it. One person cannot carry the weight forever. As the months passed, she noticed she was smiling less. She laughed less often. She began hiding her tears because she didn't want anyone to know how lonely she felt while still being in a relationship. The person she once ran to for comfort had slowly become the reason she was hurting. That realization broke something inside her. She started asking herself questions she had avoided for a long time. Why do I always feel alone? Why do I have to beg for simple attention? Why am I the only one trying to fix what keeps falling apart? Those questions echoed in her heart every night. Yet each morning, she put on a smile and hoped for another chance. She wasn't asking for expensive gifts. She wasn't asking for a perfect life. She only wanted consistency. She wanted kindness. She wanted to feel chosen every day, not only when it was convenient. Many people think relationships end because love disappears. Sometimes that isn't true. Sometimes love is still there, but exhaustion grows stronger than hope. Every ignored feeling became another brick in the wall around her heart. Every broken promise made trusting him a little harder. Every lonely night made leaving seem less frightening. He didn't notice the change because she had stopped complaining. Her silence made him think everything was fine. He mistook her quietness for peace. In reality, she was slowly letting go. She had reached a point where she no longer argued. She no longer demanded answers. She no longer expected him to become the man he promised he would be. The woman who once fought for the relationship was becoming emotionally tired. She still loved him, but love without peace can become a burden. Deep inside, she knew she couldn't keep living this way forever. She didn't know when she would finally walk away, but she knew one thing. If nothing changed, one day she would leave without looking back. And the saddest part was that he still believed he had plenty of time. He had no idea that the woman he loved was slowly falling asleep emotionally. He would only realize it when he tried to wake her, and discovered that her heart no longer responded the way it once did. That moment was drawing closer with every passing day. Part 2: The Silent Goodbye. There comes a moment in some relationships when the tears stop. Many people think that is a good sign. They believe everything is finally peaceful. They assume the arguments are over because the problems have been solved. But sometimes the tears stop because the heart has become too tired to cry. That was exactly where she found herself. She no longer waited by her phone, hoping his name would appear on the screen. She no longer counted the hours between his calls. She stopped asking why he had changed because she had grown tired of hearing the same answers. "It's work. I'm busy. You worry too much." Those words had become so familiar that they no longer carried any meaning. She realized that every conversation ended the same way. She would express her feelings, he would apologize, promise to do better, and for a few days things would improve. Then everything would return to the way it had been. The cycle never ended. One evening, she sat alone and looked back on the woman she used to be. She remembered how excited she had been at the beginning of the relationship. She remembered how she laughed without fear. She remembered how secure she once felt. Now she barely recognized herself. She had become someone who questioned her own worth. Someone who wondered if asking for love and respect was asking for too much. That night, she made a quiet decision. She would stop chasing. If he wanted the relationship, he would have to show it. She would no longer force conversations. She would no longer beg for attention. She would no longer sacrifice her peace just to keep someone from leaving. Days passed. Then weeks. He noticed she had become different. She no longer argued when he canceled plans. She simply replied, "I understand." She no longer became upset when he disappeared for hours. She continued with her own life. At first, he thought this was a relief. He believed she had finally stopped complaining. He told himself everything was getting better. But he was completely wrong. She wasn't becoming more comfortable. She was becoming more detached. The distance between them was no longer measured in miles. It was measured in emotion. She started spending more time with family and friends. She focused on work. She picked up old hobbies she had neglected. Slowly, she began rebuilding the parts of herself that had been lost. For the first time in a long while, she discovered that peace did not always come from being with someone. Sometimes it came from choosing herself. One afternoon, he called several times. She answered politely, but something had changed. Her voice was calm. There was no excitement, no disappointment, no anger, just calmness. That calmness frightened him. He began asking himself questions. Why wasn't she fighting anymore? Why wasn't she asking where he had been? Why did it suddenly feel like she could live without him? He finally saw what he had ignored for months. She was slipping away. He tried sending flowers. He sent long messages filled with promises. He apologized for things he had once defended. He even spoke about marriage and a future together. Months earlier, those words would have meant everything to her. Now they sounded like echoes arriving too late. She wasn't being cruel. She simply had nothing left to give. One evening, they met face to face. He looked into her eyes and said, "I don't want to lose you." She looked at him with kindness, but also with deep sadness. Then she quietly replied, "I spent so long asking you not to lose me." Those words stayed with him long after she walked away. For the first time, he understood that people rarely leave because they stop loving. Sometimes they leave because they become exhausted from loving alone. As he watched her disappear into the distance, he realized something painful. She had not walked away that day. She had been leaving little by little for months. He had simply failed to notice. Now he faced the hardest question of his life. Was it too late to wake up the woman whose heart had slowly gone to sleep? That question would change everything. Part 3. The distance that cannot be reversed. He did not sleep that night. Not because he did not try, but because every time he closed his eyes, he saw her walking away without looking back. For the first time, silence felt louder than any argument they had ever had. In the days that followed, he tried to return to normal. He told himself she just needed space. He told himself she would come back once she cooled down. But deep down, he already knew this was different. This was not anger. This was absence. He began noticing things he had once overlooked. The way she no longer double-texted. The way she no longer explained her feelings twice. The way she no longer tried to be understood by someone who was not listening. And then it hit him. She had stopped trying long before she stopped loving. One evening, he went back through their old messages. At first, they were full of warmth, jokes, and plans. Then slowly, the tone changed. Her messages became longer. His became shorter. Her questions increased. His answers became delayed. Until finally, there were no questions left. Only replies. Only silence between words. He realized something he had never wanted to admit. She had been asking for connection, and he had been offering convenience. Not intentionally, not cruelly, but consistently. And consistency, he now understood, had consequences. He tried to reach her again. Not with excuses this time, but with honesty. He told her he finally saw it. He told her he understood the weight she had been carrying alone. He told her he was sorry for every moment she felt unseen while standing right beside him. She listened. She always listened. But listening was no longer the same as returning. When he finished speaking, there was a long pause. Then she said something he did not expect. "I don't hate you." Her voice was steady. "I just don't live there anymore." And in that moment, he understood the final truth. Love does not always end with a fight. Sometimes it ends with relocation. She had moved emotionally to a place he no longer had access to. Not out of punishment, but out of survival. He asked her if there was anything he could do. Anything at all. She looked at him for a long time. Not with anger. Not with blame. But with acceptance. And then she said, "You don't need to wake me up. I already woke up, and I chose myself." That was the moment he realized the question he had been asking was wrong. It was never about waking her up. It was about whether he had ever truly been present while she was still there. And now, all he could do was sit with the silence of what he had lost, long after she had already found herself again. Part 4. A change that must be proven. After that conversation, he stopped trying to convince her with words. For the first time since they met, he realized that promises had become meaningless. He had made too many of them and fulfilled too few. He understood that if there was any hope left, it would not come through emotional speeches or dramatic gestures. It would come through genuine change. So he stepped back. He gave her the space she had asked for without trying to make her feel guilty. The silence was painful, but he accepted it. Instead of asking, "How do I get her back?" he began asking a different question. "How do I become a better man, whether she returns or not?" That question changed everything. He began working on himself. He learned to listen instead of preparing excuses. He became dependable in every area of his life. He repaired broken relationships with family and friends. He became a man whose actions matched his words. Months passed. There were no dramatic declarations, no attempts to pressure her, no manipulation, only quiet, consistent growth. Meanwhile, she continued rebuilding her own life. She had found peace in places she never expected. She smiled more often. She slept without crying. She no longer carried the burden of wondering whether she was enough. She had discovered that healing is not forgetting the past. Healing is refusing to let the past control your future. One afternoon, their paths crossed unexpectedly. There was no bitterness between them, only two people who had changed in different ways. He greeted her with a warm smile. She smiled back. For a few moments, they talked about life, work, family, and the lessons they had both learned. She noticed something different. He wasn't trying to impress her. He wasn't begging. He wasn't making promises. He simply spoke with honesty and humility. As they prepared to leave, he said quietly, "I don't expect you to trust me because I say I've changed. If trust ever returns, it should be because my life proves it." She looked at him for a long moment. Part 5. The Heart That Chose Wisely. Nearly a year had passed. Life had moved forward for both of them. The pain that once consumed them had softened into memories. The tears had become lessons, and the silence had become a teacher neither of them had expected. He was no longer the man she had left. Not because he was trying to win her back, but because he had finally understood that real change begins within. He had learned to communicate, to listen with patience, and to value the people who stood beside him before they slipped away. She had changed too. She was stronger than she had ever been. She no longer measured her worth by someone's attention. She no longer feared being alone, because she had discovered that peace is far better than living in constant uncertainty. One afternoon, they met again at a quiet cafe. This time, there was no awkwardness, only honesty. They spoke about everything they had learned during their time apart. He admitted that he had taken her love for granted. He admitted that he had expected her patience to last forever. He confessed that losing her had forced him to confront the man he had become. Then he looked at her and said softly, I don't want the relationship we had before." She looked surprised. He continued, "I want something better. If we ever begin again, I want it to be built on trust, respect, honesty, and consistency. I don't want you to return to the woman who kept begging to be loved. I want you to remain the strong woman you've become." For a moment, neither of them spoke. She looked into his eyes, searching for the man she had once loved. This time, she didn't see empty promises. She saw humility. She saw responsibility. She saw a man who had finally learned that love is proven every day, not only spoken when someone is about to leave. A gentle smile appeared on her face. She reached across the table and took a slow breath. "I never stopped believing people can change," she said. "I just stopped believing change would happen without a reason." He nodded. "I understand. But," she continued, "if we walk this road again, we walk as two people who have learned from the past. We don't ignore problems. We don't stop communicating. We don't assume love can survive without care." "I promise," he replied. Then he paused and smiled. "No, not a promise. A commitment I'll prove." She smiled. That was the answer she had been waiting to hear. They did not rush back into the relationship. They chose to rebuild it one step at a time. They talked honestly. They listened carefully. They respected each other's boundaries. Trust returned slowly, just as it had once been lost slowly. Months later, they realized something beautiful. The relationship they were building was stronger than the one they had lost. Not because they had forgotten the pain, but because they had learned from it. Sometimes love deserves a second chance. Sometimes it doesn't. The difference is not found in how deeply someone apologizes. It is found in how faithfully they change. If someone has exhausted your heart, never rush to open the door again. Take your time. Watch their actions. Protect your peace. And if you are the one who caused the pain, remember this. Do not wait until the person you love becomes emotionally exhausted before deciding to change. The greatest gift you can give someone is not flowers after they leave. It is consistent love while they are still standing beside you. Because a heart that has gone to sleep is difficult to awaken. But a heart that is cared for every day never has a reason to close its eyes. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Love is not sustained by grand moments. It is sustained by daily choices, quiet faithfulness, mutual respect, and the courage to keep showing up for one another. That is how hearts stay awake. That is how relationships endure. And that is how love finds its way home. Please do well to subscribe to our channel for more.